What is this bullshit? $32 this morning. It's a blistering 44 now. I just barely wrapped the greenhouses in the nick of time. I could have lost all kinds of crop if I didn't. And, well, the blessing is I got that done just in the nick of time. But it's pretty cold, and I've got to get outside and put a little work in on improving the livestock shelters. Not that they'll use them, but on real cold nights I could at least close the horses in and force them to stay in the warmth. So we're gonna see what we can do about that. I have 600 Pacific clay bricks. They could be a mixture of colors. I just bought the cheaper brick that's already used. And well, we're gonna build a Russian stove here. I've got all of the cast iron over there, the door, the grill, the grate for the bottom for the ashes to fall, and I have a pizza door coming soon. There'll be a cooktop, and then there'll be a chimney that goes up and out the wall on the upper level there, and that way it'll be easy to heat the place when it's really cold, and I can cook in here all winter long. And there will be one outside on the there's an outdoor kitchen here, so a lot of people have voiced how horrified they are that there's going to be a stove in here. It's going to be too hot. Well, that's not a real big problem. I can always cook outside if I want to. I'll put another pizza oven out there. The way I see things is if it's 0 degrees outside and you're capable of making your cabin a little too warm, well, you're going to survive, and you can just crack the window if you have to. But the point of having a really efficient Russian stove is that I should potentially be able to just throw a few logs in there. It'll heat up all the stone, the 3,000 pounds of concrete at the base, you know, all the passageways. I might even put a sand battery around the chimney up top, and it will be able to heat all that mass, and then that mass can just let off heat throughout the entire night. There should be a balance that's not very difficult to find, where I can throw in a sufficient amount of wood to keep the place warm as I want it to be. And then, of course, guys, I still have, you see the air conditioning unit up there, that heats the place just fine. You know, it's perfectly comfortable up there. This morning I came down here, it might have been 55 down here. So not flawless, but perfectly comfortable up there. And, you know, having this fireplace in place will make a huge difference. I also have the propane. You know, I've got a burner there. I could run that for heat. I have diesel air heaters. So there's multiple ways to keep it comfortable in here. And having a fireplace is going to be a really big benefit. I would say it's cold here more of the year than it's hot. 32 degrees this morning. It was probably 72 degrees up there. You know, maybe 50 so degrees, 55 down here. But what I did is, you know, once I got up, then I cranked the heat up there. I got this fan going to move the heat around. And, you know, within an hour, it's pretty toasty down here too. But having the stove in place will be great. I just got all the greenhouses covered in the nick of time. And now we're going to make some improvements to the livestock shelters. What is this bullshit? It's 40 this morning. It'll be 32 tomorrow, so I need to close in all these ends to the greenhouses to make sure they stay warm enough not to damage anything. I guess I better pull this now, huh? Before it gets too big, or what? It almost seems like if you're growing in a small space and you want to get the largest harvest, maybe you should just let that thing go and create more food, you know? This plant has been growing pretty good in the aquaponics, so I moved some up here and I moved some out to the pond. Of course, I don't expect it to live out there. It's gonna get real cold, but it's good to test it and see how it does. And there's a lot more of it in this system here. I'm bringing this amaranth to seed, and that way I'll have a lot more seed for amaranth. Having this pallet with plastic on it has bothered me for so long because it just is out of place and looks trashy. So I'm happy to be, I gotta go put some concrete in a post out there around the fence, and I'll move the rest of this concrete. And I just threw 10 pounds of seed. I covered, I've got the fence around the homestead, so every bit of the land inside is covered in seed. And then I threw about 20 feet out all the way around the pasture of clover seed. So now's the best time, so we'll see if we don't get a pasture full of clover. So this is just the old plastic I had covering the concrete, and I'm going to use it on the greenhouses. It's folded over on itself several times and it's stuck to itself, so it's not very easy to separate. So the greenhouses are wrapped except for the doors. So I'm just going to line the doors up with the frame, cover it with one solid piece, and then cut it out so I can open the doors. With the concrete put away and the greenhouses wrapped, I went around the homestead and cleaned up areas like this spot here. I pride myself on keeping a really clean homestead, and I've just been so busy working on the truck and on the cabin that I had a few corners here and there around the homestead that had accumulated piles, we'll call them, and I just wanted to organize and move things where they need to go for the most part. When I built the cabin, I had that fire pit close to the cabin to keep me warm, and now that the cabin's done, I moved it to the center, away from the cabin and between the outhouse. There's more to clean up, but I will get to it soon. There's a couple posts that need fixed. So up here past the dry field, this is the main area I just planted. Up here past the dry field through the gate, this post up here was rotted. I got it that way from somebody. I didn't know they gave me rotted logs. I didn't notice, but it rotted, and so I just put a post next to it, a couple 2.5, 3 feet deep with concrete, buttoned that up, and then a delivery driver knocked over the sign at the end of the driveway, so I put in a new post with concrete for that as well. Did you know you can get freshly ground, locally sourced corn flour on my website? I put this pergola in several months ago and then haven't had much time to work on it. and it needs some reinforcement. So putting these walls up are good for wind blockage and whatnot, you know, making it more of an outdoor kitchen space, but also to give it more structural integrity. And finally, the stables to the horses, they each have about a 12 by 12, but one wall of one side and the roof of one wasn't finished. So I want to finish that and then also wrap a large part of the round pen in paneling and just give them a lot of wind blockage and a nice area that can be warm that I can lock them into if necessary. Obviously, I'm just getting started on this, but I ran out of time today, so this is as far as I got for now. But I am getting the livestock structures wrapped up before it gets too cold, and preparing to put in the brick for the Russian stove.